Hey everyone, so today I want to speak about how often should you tune your skis, because this happens in lessons a lot. I get people coming in and I ask them, what do you want to do today? And they say, oh, I want to do some carving. And we go out and we start skiing and they're actually skidding when they should be carving. They're getting enough edge angle, but they're sliding everywhere. And I ask them, when was the last time you tuned your skis? And they said, oh, I can't remember. And I asked them, okay, well, could you guess when you have tuned your skis last? And they say, oh, maybe last season. And I said, how many days have you skied last season? They said, oh, maybe 30 or 40. And I said, so you haven't tuned your skis in 30 or 40 days? And I'd get their ski and I'd touch their edges and they've got little burrs and rocks and nicks and their edges are destroyed. And for me, this is really important because if someone wants to start carving, especially on harder snow, it doesn't matter how good your technique is. If your ski edge is not properly tuned, you're never going to carve on snow. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that you need to have a really well-tuned ski for the conditions, of course. If you haven't seen the other video of what I tune my edge angle to, I'll leave that in the description. But if you don't have a really nicely tuned ski, then it doesn't matter the technique, you'll just slide everywhere, you won't be able to carve. So that brings me to the next point, is that how often should you get your skis tuned? Well, this will depend on many factors. One, how hard the snow is. If the snow is extremely hard, like icy hard, you're going to have to tune every single day so that you can carve. Because if it's really, really hard snow, after a few runs, your edge is going to dull. And then probably halfway through mid-morning, you're not going to have that grip as you did in the first few runs. Then by the afternoon, you're going to be sliding again. So if it's really hard snow, I'd say you have to tune every day. If it's not that hard snow, if it's that, you know, a little bit spongy, man-made snow, you could probably get away with, as long as you're not hitting rocks, you could probably get away with every 5 days for tuning with that snow. But you're just going to have to start paying attention. If you start sliding when you weren't sliding before, this is when you should get your skis tuned again. So how often am I tuning my skis? Well, this is a little bit different because I'm skiing on the same skis every day, and theoretically I would like to tune my skis every day, and that's what I should be doing to get the most performance. But the ski edge only has so many tunes you can do. So if I was going to tune every day, probably by a third of the way through the winter, I might have to get a new ski because I won't have enough edge. So for me, I have to juggle between having a really sharp ski and then a little bit of a blunt ski so that I can spread out my tunes, as long as I don't hit rocks. But as long as I can spread out the tunes enough so that my ski edge will last all winter, if I'm skiing in a place where I need to tune it a lot, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So realistically, I have to be okay with skidding a little bit for a few days. At the moment, I'm tuning my skis once every 5 days, and it hasn't snowed in 6 weeks, so it's actually pretty hard out. And by the second or third day, I'm definitely not really getting a lot of grip on hard snow. But I just have to, you know, juggle up what is important for me, having my ski last all winter or just getting those extra few carve turns in on some days. You know, if it's really icy and my ski's not gripping, I'm just going to be skiing the side in the poor man's powder and do what I can. So just being able to ski for the conditions at the time. If you can't get that edge in because your edge is not sharp enough for the snow, then you just got to change up the tactics a bit, do some other types of turns, and maybe carving isn't the exact turn that you need to be doing. But hopefully this will explain a little bit of how often you should get your skis tuned. If it's really, really icy, every single day at least. If it's a little bit more spongy snow where the edge is not wearing down so quickly, you just have to pay attention to where you start slipping and sliding on the snow and you're not carving anymore, and that's probably when you should get the skis tuned. But as a general rule of thumb, if it's that not so aggressive snow, you could probably get it tuned once a week, every 5 days, and you should be able to carve on that type of snow with that type of tune. So hopefully that helps, and I'll see you guys next time.